All right, it's time to look into what's trending in employment law. Lawyer, you're on the clock.
I want to talk about today. We've been hearing quite a bit in the news about Trump's cabinet that he's starting to build out. And of course, I'm not going to wade into most of those appointments. I'm rather going to focus on names that are being floated out there that will impact the labor and employment.
But I do, Burt, I'm sorry, I got to stop you already because I love the appointment of Elon Musk. I know you know, and those closest to me, I geek out on Elon Musk. I align with his thinking a lot of the times, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see what he can get into and uncover. So
yeah.
Put everything aside, all the other appointments, that one I'm in favor of. Be curious to see how it goes. How does, one of the richest guys in the world, has got no chance of ever being president because he wasn't born in the United States. He doesn't really have the emotions tied into things that we do because of his position on the spectrum of autism and so forth. And he can just dig in and go about logical decision making, and I'm all in favor of that.
Yeah, I agree with you on a lot of what you said there, Phil.
Yeah.
Interesting. It's not only Elon Musk, but it's Vivek Ramaswamy.
That's right. No, I think it's a great team.
I agree. A great team. I guess is it Dog or Doge? DOGE.
It's Doge.
Doge. All right. Thank you. I hadn't heard it pronounced yet. So Doge, Department of Governmental, what is it? Department of Governmental Expenses or something.
I thought it was excess.
Excess.
They're trying to cut out the excess. So.
There you go. That hopefully bodes well for the economy. So, all right. Well, enough of that, Phil. I want to talk about labor and employment. And the first thing that I want to talk about today is the name that's being floated out there to be the Secretary of the Department of Labor. And the name that's kind of come to the forefront right now is Andrew Puzder. He was the former CKE Restaurant Holdings, Inc. CEO. That was the parent company of restaurant chains Hardee's and Carl's Jr. He was nominated by Trump back in 2017, and he dropped out of the running in 2017, and ultimately Trump appointed Alexander Acosta in his place. There's a little baggage that Puzder may bring with him, but right now his name has emerged as as sort of the early front runner to lead the Department of Labor. And again, just the fact that he comes out of the fast food industry, which really has been under assault the last not just 4 years, but even going back to administrations before that through minimum wage.
It's really been the last 10, 15 years, quite a bit, hasn't it?
It has. And, that's where we're starting to see so much of the automation in restaurants with fast food restaurants with kiosks and ordering on apps and those types of things. All of those things take away positions or can fill in for actual bodies in the restaurants. And so interesting choice that's being floated around out there on that. The second thing I want to chat about is just the impact of Trump's second term on the NLRB. Of course, everyone who's been listening to the show or anyone who's heard me talk anywhere recently has heard me talk about Jennifer Abruzzo, who is the general counsel of the National Labor Relations Board. And she is really the one who's been leading the policy at the NLRB the last 4 years, when the NLRB has been going after things that they've never, ever been interested in before, such as non-compete agreements and non-solicitation and confidentiality agreements. Basically the turning the union election process on its head and requiring employers to file a petition for representation when the union when the union demands recognition. It's up to the employer now to file a petition. Jennifer Abruzzo has been leading those efforts to make those things happen at the board. And everybody who's heard me talk has heard me talk about the fact that on day one of his administration, Biden asked Trump's head of the NLRB, I'm not head of the NLRB, Trump's NLRB general counsel, Peter Robb, to resign. And when Robb didn't resign, Biden fired him the next day. It was a very controversial move. It had never happened before in the history of the NLRB. And so he terminated him. And just back in August, so just a couple months ago, the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals held that President Biden did not violate the law by firing Peter Robb. And so I can pretty much promise you that on day one of his administration, I think that Trump is going to be firing Jennifer Abruzzo, which is going to really change the trajectory of the NLRB.
Yeah, and it's going to be an interesting change in trajectory for sure.
Yeah, and I think the board's really going to be backing off of a lot of the things that it's been focused on the last several years. Now,
So does that mean between now and then you expect to see some changes?
So there you go, Phil. That's a perfect segue into a decision that the NLRB issued yesterday, which in essence bans a precedent that has been in place since 1948. And this new ban takes place immediately. And basically it says that captive audience meetings, those are meetings where companies basically take all of the employees who are eligible to vote in an election, and while they're on working time and being paid by the employer, the employees are required to attend a meeting that the employer holds, where the employer gets to advocate for its position on the unionization issue. Those have been deemed captive audience meetings. And again, the employees are on the employer's dime at that point. If the employer chooses to have them perform work or to attend one of these meetings, since 1948, that has been a lawful exercise of employers' rights. Well, yesterday, the board issued a decision banning captive audience meetings, saying that employees may not be made to attend those, even though the employer is paying them for that time. The employer cannot force the employees to attend those meetings. And so, yes, to answer your question, Phil, I think we're going to see some more decisions like that coming out of the NLRB before Ms. Abruzzo's term comes to an end, probably on January 20 next year.
All right, so let me just ask a clarifying question, because that's a major change. It's a major change in how union campaigns would be facilitated on behalf of an organization. Captive employee meetings are a standard part of any union campaign I've ever been a part of.
Yes.
If you are in a union campaign today, and there are plenty of organizations that are in the middle of a union campaign, and I have captive employee meetings scheduled for next week, am I able to hold those meetings?
So I think certainly under
this would be a good time to say it depends, maybe.
No, I'm gonna be more certain than that. And under this new precedent by the board, if you hold those meetings and force the employees to attend, you are definitely going to get an unfair labor practice charge that the board will investigate. Now it comes down to a risk tolerance there, because knowing that you're going to get an unfair labor practice charge on it, the administration will be changing soon. So will the board actually pursue the charge? Who knows?
Right.
I tend to doubt it eventually. And I also don't think that the NLRB's decision, in light of what we talked about for the last many months here, the decision of the Supreme Court getting rid of Chevron deference, I don't think that this decision by the NLRB would stand up in court in any event. But, again, it's risk tolerance, and do you want to be the test case for the NLRB? That's what it really comes down to. And absolutely. I think that's a really, really good time, Phil. I did send Nick, if you could put that picture up that I sent you. So this is the National Labor Relations Board as it exists right now. And you could see that right now there are three Democrat appointed board members, one Republican seat that has been remained unfilled for a period of time, and one Republican appointee sitting on at the NLRB. And the three Democrats, they may serve 1.5 years into a potential Trump presidency. And so this is no different than when Biden got into office. He had Trump's board sitting there for a period of time. Again, remember, he did fire Peter Robb, but the board members itself remained a Republican board for a period of time. Now, interestingly, you have right in the middle there of the Democrat members, Lauren McFerrin. Her term does expire December 16, 2024. And with the Democrats holding the Senate right now, I do believe there's a chance that she gets reconfirmed for another full term before Trump assumes the presidency next January. So it's really going to be interesting to see what shakes out with the board on all of this. Very active, a lot of fun stuff for people like me to pay attention to.
Well, we will let you pay attention to it, and then we'll climb on your back and take the ride of information here on This Week at Work. So
perfect.
Yeah, I heard the line the other day, and maybe I'm just not with it enough, and someone said to me, "Are you picking up what I'm throwing down?" And I'm like, what? That's a great line. I've not heard that before. So maybe our listeners are picking up what you're throwing down, Burt.
Yep, perhaps.
All right, very good. Anything else, sir, for us today?
I'm just going to mention it, just take 30 seconds to mention it, that a Michigan federal jury last Friday awarded $12.69 million to a former Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan employee who sued, saying she was fired after Blue Cross Blue Shield failed to accommodate her religious beliefs, which she had claimed prevented her from getting the COVID-19 vaccine. So huge,
we talked a lot about
risk.
that over the years, particularly when that was very topical at the time.
Yep.
So maybe we can keep an eye on that and see what happens.
Well, $12.7 million. Big mistake.
Yeah, that's a costly mistake. We did say along the way, you don't want to be the test case for that one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Tough stuff.
All right. Okay, Burt. Well, thank you very much for that.
Thank you once again for tuning in to This Week at Work. If you enjoy the show, please share it with your colleagues. Forward our invites. Share the link, aimea.org/This Week at Work, or follow or subscribe wherever you get your news and entertainment, like LinkedIn, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We're everywhere you are. And you can be part of the show. Send your questions and comments anytime to info@thisweek.work. We'll see you next week, 7:30 a.m. Central Time, when we discuss what's happening this week at work.